All right, here we go. Welcome in to Bears Now Live. Final Hard Knocks episode in the books. Let me know if the audio is sounding good. If you guys can hear me, Y for yes, N for no. I thought a great final episode. I really did. Thought it was a great ending to a good but not great series of Hard Knocks. I think episodes 2 and 4 were a little dull, but the third episode was great. Actually, 4 was good too. 3 through 5 were great. First couple, I thought started a little slow, but I still think in the end, pretty good overall. Pretty good overall. Yeah, Bum of Wall Street got emotional. They did something they haven't done the last couple of years. They showed some of the cuts. So, that's something they haven't always done, especially in recent years. The Jets refused to do it last year, and I appreciate the Bears doing it. I think they showed enough to give us that insight, but not too much to embarrass any of these guys, because obviously it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing, and it's not easy for these guys. And man, the Adrian Colbert, God's team, that's good. The Adrian Colbert cut, and we're going to get into it more, but if you guys haven't watched the full episode or haven't watched it at all, A, you should go watch it, but B, they showed about 10 or so guys getting cut, and Adrian Colbert came in, and Ryan Poles had to walk out of the room because he was fighting back tears, and he was fighting back tears when he told them, and that was tough. And Colbert handled it so well. He said the Bears organization has been the best he's ever been a part of. I think he's been on 8 NFL teams in 8 years or something. I mean, it's been a tough road for him, but it was a great episode, man. You saw it all. You saw it all. You saw the cuts. You saw guys coming back to the practice squad. Brett Rippon, a pro's pro. Austin Reed coming back. That was cool. So Paul saying Ryan Poles is so damn real. He is, man. He's so real, dude. Say what you want. I think he's done a great job as a GM, but he's just a good dude, man. I mean, him and Ian Cunningham were talking after the cuts, and they're just like, man, they just put so much into this. You can't just kick them to the curb. You got to treat them like good people, like they are. And Cole said he's proud of the type of character he's brought into this team, and it seems true. Brett Rippon, when he left, said it's bittersweet. I get to a great opportunity in Minnesota on their 53, but he said he thinks the Bears have a chance to be a special team this year, and called the QB room special. So it was tough, man. It was tough. Yeah, dude, definitely not bad. Like a guy like Austin Reed making the practice squad, that's they get some solid money. Chance to continue their careers. So a lot to dive into here. I thought we could go through some of my Hard Knocks takeaways. If you guys have any takeaways, fire away in the chat. If you super chat, we'll be sure to prioritize those as well. Do want to announce something. September is here, and we're going to start the Boom Club. You guys know how we go. Boom! When someone sends a $100 super chat. So what we're going to do is whoever booms the most in the month of September is going to win a signed Rome Odunze mini helmet. We already have it on the way. The winner will get that. So if you want to get that, bombs away here, get the booms going, and there you have it. If you guys want questions, fire away, and we'll chop it all up here. But I thought that, the early part of the episode kind of set the tone. And Ryan Poles, they're kind of chit-chatting. He said, yes, we want to keep everyone, but we're not in that space anymore. It's time to win. And I think that was really the theme of the whole episode, having to make tough roster cuts. I don't want to say it's ever easy, but I think this year it was clearly tougher on this staff to cut from 90 to 53. I mean, they cut some good players. They cut some guys that I think can play in this league. And first couple of years, it's always tough, but think about some of the guys that were on the 53 2 years ago that aren't even in the NFL anymore. I mean, like Byron Pringle. I think I saw a team pick him up the other day, but it's like, I mean, he was like a starter on this team, basically not in the league. It just, this roster has come a long way, and that's what Poles means when he says it's time to win now. Yeah, this sucks, but we have to do it, and it's time to go win. And that's kind of what we saw throughout the episode. And, early on, there was a lot of Jaylon Jones content, a lot of discussion among the coordinators and front office about him, and from a few different angles. One, they clearly liked what they saw from him at running back. Chad Morton really vouched for him, the running backs coach, said he's going to fight for him more than anyone. Richard Hightower did as well, saying he can play all special teams in all the units, kickoff return, kickoff. He could be a gunner on punt. So he made the case. Shane Waldron said, hey, he's made a great transition here. It's like night and day from the beginning to the end of camp. And I thought there was a funny moment early on after Ryan Poles kind of took in all the information from the staff. He kind of sung a little tune. He said, he's alive, talking about Jaylon, because, look, I'll be honest, I didn't know Jaylon would make this team. This summer, a couple months ago, I had doubts when they signed DeAndre Carter. I thought that could have been bad news for Jaylon. Now, Carter made the team as well, but Jaylon earned it. Jaylon Jones earned it. He absolutely did. Now, he needs to contribute on Sundays. He hasn't done much of that in 2 years, but he earned a spot on this roster. Dude in the chat says, if Wheeler never got hurt, do you think Jaylon would still be on the roster? I think he would. I think Wheeler would have gotten cut and would have came back on the practice squad. So kind of a win-win for him. They keep him on IR. He'll get a chance to compete next year. And, a guy like Khalil Herbert's contract runs out. Travis Homer's contract runs out. Like Ian Wheeler will get an opportunity next year to make this 53, whereas this year it was pretty crowded. And Jaylon's versatility as a receiver, running back, and special teamer, I think he was going to make it. So that was good to see. And then in a different angle, apparently the Bears got a call on Jaylon. Now, Hard Knocks didn't reveal what team it was. Poles said it would I wouldn't take anything less than a fourth. So I'm guessing the offer they got was a fifth or a sixth. But that is pretty interesting. Some team out there recognized Jaylon Jones' skill set with the ball in his hands. And we've always known when he gets the ball in his hands, he's capable. The issue is he hasn't shown good hands as a receiver and a punt returner, so his touches have been limited. They've had to use gadget ways to get him the ball. Obviously, not as many kickoff returns in the last couple of years because of the old kickoff rule. Hopefully the new rule gets him more returns. Now, I kind of think teams are just going to bomb it out of the end zone and just do touchbacks at the 30. We'll see. Yeah, he's certainly going to get some opportunities. And look, my main takeaway is, like, what if it was a fifth round pick? Like, that's a decent offer. Like, they clearly value him. I think they feel like not only did he earn it, but like in the end, I'm not sure how close it actually was. I think he pretty easily made this football team, and again, he earned it. And that when guys earn it and they make it, that's all you want to see as a fan is the right guys making it. And I've been hard on Jaylon, but he absolutely earned a spot on this roster. You can't dismiss that whatsoever. The roster cuts they showed, I'll kind of go one by one here. Theo Benedette, I thought that was cool that they told him right then and there that the plan was to bring him back on the practice squad. They clearly like what he brought to the table, what he brought in the locker room. The injury early on in camp set him back, but I think kind of a win-win. I don't think he would have made this roster. I think there was just too much depth at offensive line, but they clearly value him and think there's potential there. So he gets to develop on the practice squad. He wasn't picked up by another team, so he returned, obviously. Byron Cowart, who is back on the practice squad as well. Cowart asked straight up, what was the difference? Why didn't, what was the deciding factor? And Poles was honest. He said, look, we're just going heavier at defensive end. And that was one of my takeaways from initial cuts was 6 defensive ends, really 7 if you count Jacob Martin on short-term IR, and 4 defensive tackles. And I said at the time, I'll say it here, when they traded for Chris Williams from the Browns, That spelled trouble for Byron Cowart. But Flus did speak highly of him at his final press conference before cuts and said he's done a nice job. So valuable guy to have on the practice squad. Could he be a guy they call up week one if Zach Pickens can't play? We'll talk about the Titans game here in a little bit. That's certainly possible. They obviously added Sam Roberts to the practice squad as well. So definitely an opportunity there for Cowart to contribute still. Jake Curran, they showed him, and he was like, look, it's a deep and a fun room. Like he was very classy and accepting. He said, I did everything I can. I hope you guys recognize that. He's back on the practice squad too. So that's a guy who's valuable, who's been around Shane Waldron in Seattle. So you keep him in the fold on the practice squad. Colin Johnson, he didn't kind of voice his frustration, but Poles kind of did for him. He was like, look, I know you're frustrated. You wanted to build off that Hall of Fame game, and you were in the mix to make the 53, but, you were unavailable the rest of camp and in the games, and we decided to just go with 5 receivers. I truly believe if Colin Johnson was healthy throughout camp and continued to show things, he would have made this team. They would have either gone 6 at receiver, or DeAndre Carter wouldn't have made the team. Something would have happened. I think he would have made it. It's just kind of the story of his career, his injuries. He's back on the practice squad. He's healthy now. We saw last year, late in the year, he got some opportunities on game days. So you never know. You got to keep plugging away if you're a guy like Colin Johnson. He's the next man up at receiver. And guys get hurt in this league. Keenan Allen's an older guy. So, he's just got to stay positive and stay the course, because I think he's shown that he can play. It's just a matter of waiting for that right opportunity. Brett Rippon, what a classy guy. I think he personifies what this team is all about. And they brought him in and said, look, we're going with 2. You and Austin are getting cut. But they got good feedback from him. They asked him, what do you think about the room? He said the QB room's great. They told him they wanted him back on the practice squad, but obviously if there's opportunities out there for you to make a 53, we certainly get that as well. They showed the part where he found out that the Vikings were going to sign him to the 53, and he admitted it's bittersweet. He was in the car on the way to the airport. They were filming him, and he said, look, it's obviously a great opportunity to go to Minnesota, and clearly I showed good enough tape to be on a 53, but at the same time, it kind of sucks because I think the Bears have a chance to be special this year. He used the word special, and he also said that he sees a lot of himself in Austin Reed, who benefits from Rippon going to the Vikings, because I do think that had Rip not gotten a 53-man opportunity, I think he would have been back on the practice squad, and I'm not sure they would have signed Reed as well. I think they were just going to do one quarterback on the practice squad. So kind of a win-win. They like what they saw from Austin Reed, and Rippon said he sees a lot of himself in him, and Shane Waldron pointed out that a couple years of development, he could be a player in this league. So he's a vibes guy, and I think you see that with a lot of these guys. Like, even if they're not ready to be game day contributors right now, there's value with some of these guys on a practice squad because they bring a lot to the locker room. A guy like Austin Reed showed some things on the field, clearly vibes in the locker room. Like, that's a guy that can keep the spirits high for a Caleb Williams, can vibe with the Tyson Bagent. So it was cool to see him back on the practice squad as well. Who else we got here? Okay, Adrian Colbert. Adrian Colbert, man. I projected him on my final 53. Maybe I tried to project it based on what I thought was going to happen, but safety was one of the tougher ones. Maybe a little bit of my biases got in there, but you just saw his story on the last Hard Knocks episode, or was it 2 episodes ago? I can't remember which one. And then the way he played in the preseason, that breakup against the Chiefs, I think Eric Washington vouched for him. He did at the beginning of this episode, talking about that play where he goes full extension with his left arm and knocks that ball away from what otherwise probably would have been a long touchdown. And Poles told him, look, you did everything right. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just tough. The direct quote, part of the quote he said, and by the way, when he brought Adrian in, he literally had to walk out of the room because he was tearing up after he gave him a big hug initially. And when he came back, he said, there's something different about you. I hate that we have to do this. And he's fighting back tears as he does it. And, like, you feel that. It's real, man. And Colbert such a classy guy. And, he said it was such an awesome opportunity being with the Bears the last couple of years and getting to play for this organization. The organization he says is the best he's played for. So he clearly likes what they've been doing, what they've been building. And, it's interesting. He's still out there. He's not on a roster. He's not in a practice squad. I think maybe he's waiting for an opportunity somewhere if a safety goes down to sign with the team. And I'm sure Poles would bring him back if the Bears had someone go down. But it is interesting that the Bears brought back Tarvarius Moore to the practice squad and not Adrian Colbert. Maybe they tried to bring Colbert back and he's just chilling for now. I'm not sure. But that was tough, man. That one was hard to watch. And him and Ian Cunningham, Poles and Cunningham were talking about it afterward. And, Poles admitted that that one was hard on him, that it wasn't easy. And they just talked about, look, like you can't just bring these guys in, invest into them, and then kick them to the curb and act like you don't care. Like, that's just not how this is. And I think what I appreciate about this organization right now is they have good people in charge. Like Ryan Poles, good-ass dude, knows how to build a roster as well. Say what you want about Flus, classy guy. Can he coach? We'll see. He can coach defense. Clearly these players believe in him, and they vibe in him, and there's value in that. Do I believe in him as a high-level head coach? I don't know yet. I thought last year he finished strong. I think players have spoken highly about him. I want to believe in him. Poles believes in him. So let's see how this year goes. But I think the leadership at the top of this organization right now is very strong. And Poles talked about how proud he was of the character he's brought onto this team. I think that's something. If you keep doing that, combining good character with good talent, good things are going to happen. And I think the Bears are doing that right now. I think they're doing a really, really good job of doing that. What else? DJ Moore and his fiance are having another baby. That was exciting to see. What else? Oh, I got a chuckle out of this. Joe Shane and Ryan Poles are talking at the Georgia-Clemson game. And if you guys watch the Giants Hard Knocks, Shane's the Giants GM. I think he's a fairly smart guy, but that Hard Knock series, in my opinion, did not paint him in that great of a light. Not like as a bad guy, but just like he's second-guessing himself. He's bitching about, the Saquon negotiations taking years off his life. It's like, dude, that's the job, man. It's just, that's how it is. And whereas Poles in this one, he's acknowledging, like, man, it's tough to cut these guys, but like beginning of the episode, he's telling you, it's time to win, man. This is just part of it. Like, it feels different. Like, I think if you're being objective, you would rather have Ryan Poles than Joe Shane as your GM. And that's not only because he paid Daniel Jones. That's certainly a bad look on Shane, but Shane made a comment to him and said, must be nice to not be looking at the quarterbacks. And Poles said, hopefully it stays that way for a long time, of course, referring to Caleb Williams and hopefully his extended success. And yeah, it is nice. Now, he could be in a couple years. Like, we've seen this with the Bears, but it feels different with Caleb, doesn't it? And you know what's interesting about Hard Knocks this series? Sure, there was certainly a decent amount of Caleb, especially in the first 4 episodes. There was hardly any this episode. And I kind of appreciated that they didn't just go completely all in on Caleb and not tell some of these other stories. Like, yeah, Caleb got his run. The last scene is him talking to himself, putting on his helmet, kind of signaling, hey, it's go time, that type of stuff. But it wasn't a Caleb, for lack of a better term, slurp fest. He had his moments, but they didn't go overboard with that. I really appreciated that. Like, learning about some of these other guys, I think that's what's made Hard Knocks special over the years, is learning about the guys fighting for rosters spots, learning about the UDFAs. Yes, seeing the stars as well. You want to get a blend of everything, but I thought this season started slow, but finished pretty well. I thought we saw a good mixture of everything, and I think the Bears allowed more to be shown, especially in this episode. The Jets flat out did not show cuts last year. They refused to do it. If you remember last year, say what about the Bears? They've dodged Hard Knocks for years. Last year, They didn't even announce who was going to be on Hard Knocks until like 10 days before the show, because literally every eligible team was like, we don't want it, we don't want it, we don't want it. The Bears may not have wanted it, but they accepted their fate, in June, a couple months ago. So it's better to operate that way. Like, hey, man, we're just going to embrace it. The McCaskies they're going to request to not show cuss words, yada, yada, yada. Kids are watching, all that stuff. But I'm glad that we got to see this, because there's a lot of energy and hype around this team right now. There's a lot of belief that the Chicago Bears can be a good team right now, not in 2 years, not down the road. Yes, hopefully down the road as well, but also right now. It's exciting, man. It's exciting. So those are some of my takeaways from the final episode. If you had to grade this Hard Knocks series, A, B, C, D, or F, pluses and minuses are acceptable. Let me know in the comments how you would grade it, A, B, C, D, or F. I think overall I'd give it a straight up B. I think the last 3 episodes elevated the whole series. It wasn't amazing. I thought you got more access to the Giants one in the offseason. But I'll be honest, are other teams gonna give that much free agency and draft access in the future? I doubt it. It would not shock me if that offseason edition is one and done. Poles hopped on Hoge Jahns a couple of weeks ago, and they asked him about it, and he was like, it'd be tough to be on that one. So, I thought this one showed enough behind-the-scenes stuff of how transactional things work, but not so much. Or, if you're watching the Giants one, it's like you're seeing their offseason big board and how they think. It's like, this is this is a little too much. I enjoyed it, but it's almost too much to reveal. Tim says B, Terrence C+, Bum says B+, Williams says A-. C- from Gene. Steven says B+. My guy Steven, what's up? What's up, man? I thought it was good. I thought it was good. Last episode I'd give an A. I thought this episode and the episode where we got the Matt Judon access, I thought that was a really good episode as well. The Ian Wheeler one was a solid B+ episode. First couple were slow, but I thought they finished strong here. So that was very good. Vincent says, late to the show, where should I go to watch the first regular season game in Dallas? First regular season game. If you're living in the Dallas area, there's plenty of good sports bars. Certainly can't go wrong. But DM me, Vincent, at HGram NFL. I could get you a list. Nevek says, surprised they didn't say anything about the trades that Poles made. Yeah, I guess that is one thing. We didn't see any Chris Williams behind the scenes or Darrell Taylor. That could have been a nice touch, but if you ask me, would I rather see those minor trades go down or the guys getting cut and some of the emotions behind that? I'd probably rather see the cuts. That's something we haven't seen the last couple of years. So that's something I appreciated. There you go, Steven. There's one in Richardson that's catered to Bears fans. I think I know which one you're talking about, but I can't remember what it's called. You guys have any other thoughts on the episode or about week 1? Let me know. Can chop it up for a little while. Did you have a favorite part of the last episode? I would say the Adrian Colbert interaction, because you just can't fake that emotion. Obviously, these guys know there's cameras around with Hard Knocks, but if you looked at Ryan Poles and the other cuts, sure, I'm not saying it was easy, but he was pretty stoic and straight to the point. Hey, we got to cut you today, yada, yada, yada. Thanks for everything, blah, blah, blah. He had to walk out of the room after embracing Colbert for about 30 seconds, by the way. And he's fighting back tears, man. That was authentic. You can't fake that stuff, man. You just can't. These guys aren't trained actors. You can't fake this stuff. And that was the moment of the series, I thought. That and the Ian Wheeler stuff with his mom last week, that was pretty good too. Not good and happy, but authentic. That's the word. Carlos says, imagine if they did Hard Knocks the year we had Claypool on the roster. It would have been a bad look based on the reports that he was locker room cancer. Yeah, I mean, I think something that stands out about what we've seen at Hard Knocks is these guys really like each other, and Claypool didn't fit in. That's on him. He just didn't make it work, and he's basically out of the league. The Bills signed him, and they cut him. I think he got nicked up, and they cut him with an injury settlement. But, I mean, he's probably done, man. Didn't do anything in Miami last year after the Bears traded him away. So, yeah, not great for Chase Claypool. Well, the Bears cover the spread this weekend. Let's see if we have an update on that game in terms of point spread. Last time I checked, it was 4.5. Right now, it is 4. It's moved down half a point. Bears -4. Over under is 44.5. So they're basically saying 24-20, Chicago. It's basically what they're saying. 24-20. My initial prediction was 27-17. I could see it being tight late, and then the Bears ice it, 20-17. Caleb drives them down. They score to win by 10, something like that. I think Tennessee will be competitive. I put out an episode earlier today. Go check it out after this live stream of the Bears' biggest concern heading into this game for this matchup. It's Jeffrey Simmons, because the strength of the Titans is Simmons in that interior defensive line. T'Vondre Sweat's going to be a handful, I think, as well, going up against Coleman Shelton and Nate Davis. I think that's where the Titans can find an advantage. So the Bears are going to have to find a way to neutralize Jeffrey Simmons a little bit. And if they can do that, I think most other matchups on this team and in this matchup are advantage Bears. In my preview, I had 8 categories. I think 4 advantage Bears, 2 advantage Titans, and 2 were kind of in the push category, like it's pretty even. So I think the Bears should win this game. I would pick them to cover the 4. They're at home. You can tell there's a lot of urgency. Like Caleb, when he was talking to Flus, they talked about, hey, like starting fast is key. Like, we got to get off to a good start. And no one knows that more than Flus. They started 0-4 last year. It was such an uphill climb to get back into the playoff picture. And the fact that they were a dropped Hail Mary away in Cleveland from having a real shot with 2 weeks to go is a testament of the guys staying together a year ago. But you can't start 0-4 and make the playoffs. It's just basically impossible. You got to start fast, especially this year, because all 6 of your division games – are over the final 8 weeks of the season. So you have to get off to a good start. It's vital. It's my light turned off and on there. But I like where this team is right now. But like Jaylon Johnson said the other day, the talk is cheap at this point. Like, it's time to go do it. Cole Kmet says, hey, the vibes, it all sounds great. It feels great, but we have to go win. And it's true, because those 2 guys in particular have basically done nothing but lose. They made the playoffs their rookie year as an 8-8 team with Matt Nagy, or 8-9 team. 8-8, 8-9? 8-8. I think that was the last year of the 16-game schedule. I think it was 8-8. And since then, they've gone 6-11, 4-13, 3-14, and 7-10. Positive signs last year, but it's time to go be a playoff team. It's time to go be a playoff team. And, let's see if they can do it. Beating Tennessee is important. Yeah, Steven, I remember that. I meant to mention that earlier. Simmons did say something. I can't remember what his exact quote was, but he called out Caleb for painting his nails, blah, 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 wherever we heard that before. And, Simmons, he kind of toes that line of hitting guys late sometimes. So we'll see. Something Justin Fields never got was a fair whistle from officials. So we'll see if Caleb does. He's a rookie quarterback. He ain't going to get the same call Mahomes does, not early on. So got to keep that in mind. Warm Shy says, Flus's house is pretty sick. Love the lakefront spot. Yeah. Sick deal. Saw the little the honeybee thing going, so that was cool. What would you grade this Hard Knocks series from Mike? I gave it a solid B. I thought it finished really strong. I'd say first 2 episodes average out to a C. Last 3 were like A-, so average it all out, probably about a B. Thought it was good. I like that they gave us some access to some of these cuts tonight. And I don't mean from a standpoint of like, oh, yes, I can't wait to see these guys get cut. Because, yeah, it sucks. It's a hard day. But it's you like to see the authenticity and how these things go down. And Poles in his little interview said, look, I've been cut in this building myself. No one knows it as well as me. So I try to really articulate our reasoning and to just be honest and articulate in terms of why we're doing this and why we're cutting these guys. So I just think the Bears have the right guy in charge with Poles. Flus, jury's still out. Poles, I think he's the guy. Like if this team if the defense took a step back or whatever, something happened this year and they had to fire Flus, I would keep Poles without hesitation. I would not change GMs. I feel pretty good about what he's doing in terms of being in charge of this team right now. I do. Christian, week 1 against Tennessee is massive for Flus. Yeah, I mean, look, he's going up against a first-year head coach, a team that I think could be better than expected, but should not be better than the Bears in your building. Like their quarterback played, 8 or 9 games last year on Will Levis, but like it's not like you're going up against a vet. Like you should win this game. And frankly, I don't want to say you should win easily, but ideally this game is not in doubt with 5 minutes left. Ideally, with 5 minutes left if you're going to win or not. Now, maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But just looking at the week 1 spreads, Chiefs on Thursday night, 3-point favorites. Philly on Friday night against the Packers in Brazil, 3-point favorites. FGB in the comments. Browns 2.5-point favorites against Dallas. Falcons 3.5-point favorites against the Steelers. Bills 6.5-point favorites at home against the Cardinals. So that's the only point spread larger than the Bears so far. Bengals 7.5 against the Patriots. Patriots are going to be bad, man. Texans -3 against the Colts. Dolphins 3.5 against the Jags. Saints 4-point favorites against the Panthers. So that's basically that's even with the Bears right now. Vikings 2-point favorites at New York against the Giants. Chargers 3-point favorites against the Raiders. Seahawks 6-point favorites against the Broncos, which, by the way, that feels high. I know it's in Seattle, but I think Denver could be sneaky. I kind of like the +6 there. Just, little betting tip of the night. Bucks -3.5 at home against the Commanders. And the Lions -4 against the Rams Sunday Night Football. 49ers 4.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 games with a larger spread than the Bears -4. A couple other games -4. So, listen, you should win this game. Out of all the games on the Bears schedule, this is a top 5 easiest one on paper, I would say. Carolina's easier on paper. New England's easier. Washington's on the road, so probably similar. But this is a game you should win. Christian, Harry, if the Bears were up by 20 with 5 minutes left, we still wouldn't feel comfortable. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Believe me. Why did they have the Bears ranked 20th in defense? Who's they? Did they say something on the show? They could have been 20th in total defense based on yards last year, but second half of the year, statistically, they were top 5 across the board. Harley says, I'd line a tight end up behind Davis as a running back. What, just a chip block? Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Trey Talk says, you think if the Bears go 6-11 with the schedule, we have Flus canned, and do you think Poles goes too? I don't think Poles could get fired unless a scandal popped up. Flus would be in trouble if he goes 6-11. If he has a worse record this year against arguably an easier schedule with a better roster, unless there's major injuries, I don't know how you defend that. Like, he would be in trouble. He would be in big trouble. Aladar says, I think the Bears easily cover 4.5. Well, it's 4 right now. I'm with you. I got the Bears by 10. I think the Titans will compete, but I think the Bears win by 10. Christian says, you think we trade for a defensive end at the deadline? Depends on how Booker plays. Yeah, I mean, the Bears are heavy at defensive end right now. But if they need like another big-time player, could they, trade one of the young guys along with a pick? Like, could you trade like a day 2 pick plus Dom Rob if that team needs a pass rusher back to get through the season or to try and develop a guy? Yeah, that's certainly possible. But I think they're going to roll with what they got. I like the Darrell Taylor pickup. So if him and Booker can show enough punch opposite of Montez Sweat, you got DeMarcus Walker, then I think they're going to roll with that. I think they're going to roll with that at this point in time. Tim says Bears win by 14. Sign me up, baby. Sign me up, baby. Gene, what happens if the Bears lose their first 2 games, then they're stuck? I mean, I don't know what you mean by stuck, but yeah, they'd be in trouble. You lose week 1, you could very much, losing week 2 ain't getting easier at Houston. So week 1's big, man. Week 1 is big. Osmotic says this will be a tight game. Bears 24, Titans 21. I could see it. I could also see a backdoor cover where it's like 24-14. Titans score to lose by 3. I could see that. Edward says, I hope we win. It is hard to be optimistic with the past Bears. I hear you. It feels different, though. It feels different. I mean, it's going to be different, but it feels different. Got to see how it plays out. But I feel like the feeling is different. By the way, we are, let me refresh here. We are 51 subscribers away from 98,000. We're literally at 97949. I would love to wake up to 98,000 subs tomorrow. That'd be sick. So if you want free and daily Bears content, hit the subscribe button. Should be right below your screen. Free content on the daily. We'll be live again in studio on Thursday, getting you ready for kickoff. We'll be live on Sunday at least an hour before the game and stay live throughout the game. Probably more than an hour, though. For the season opener. Titans supposedly have a very good team this year. Based on who? I think they're being maybe overlooked a little bit, but very good. Not a lot of people picking the Titans to go to the playoffs. More people picking the Bears. Tim says, if the Bears win, I'm buying Sunday ticket to watch remaining games. Live in Wisconsin. Green Bay is always televised. FGB. Yeah, my wife and I, we bought Sunday ticket. If you have a family member in college or if you're in college, you get a student discount. So take advantage of that. I think with Red Zone, it was like $220 after taxes. For the whole season, that's not bad. The normal cost is over $400 through YouTube TV, and if you don't have YouTube TV and have to get it through your app store, it's like $600 or something. So if you get that student discount, that's a huge thing. So definitely look into that. Augustine, Titans are a sneaky team that can compete and keep it close. I agree. I mean, look, that's the NFL. There's going to be about 4 or 5 teams that suck. Carolina, New England, the Giants, a couple others. And even those teams will be close in a lot of games this year because that's the NFL. For every blowout, there's 5 one-score games. It's a one-score league. I mean, you look at the Bears. I'm just going to pull this up. Their schedule last year. Give me just a second here. All right. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 one-score games, and several others that were one-score games late. Like Tampa, they lost 27-17, but they had the ball down by 3 with 2.5 minutes to go. And then that pick 6 screen that Getsy called for a third play in a row happened, and that was a 10-point loss. What else here? Yeah, I mean, they had a couple blowouts early. Green Bay, Chiefs hammered them. But, like, a lot of their blowouts were wins. They blew out Washington. They blew out the Raiders. The Bears blew out Detroit the second time. Blew out the Cardinals and Falcons late in the year. It's a one-score league, man. And They lost 3 games they should have won. First Detroit game, the Browns game, and obviously the Broncos game. You're up 28-7 entering the fourth or early in the or late third, and you blow that game. So you're hoping with this quarterback and some key additions that you find a way to win those games. You're not going to win them all. You're going to lose some close ones, but the ones where you have them on the ropes, you got double-digit point leads in the fourth quarter, those are the ones you can't let slip away. And that's where Flus is going to have to earn his money. Like, he's got to find a way to close these games out. He's got to leave his mark as a head coach on these games. Close it out defensively. Have the right mindset on key downs. We're going to be aggressive here. We're going to be passive. You got to know when to pull the trigger. Michael says, watch almost every day, first time live. Really? First time live. What's up, Michael? Appreciate you tuning in. That's dope, man. Hopefully you'll join us for some of our game day streams. Even if you're watching at home, just have the chat up and interact. We have a good time. Have a good time. All right, what else we got? What else we got here? Christian says, I think Bears fans should know, me included, that Caleb will not come into the league and dominate right away. Yeah, I mean, dominate, no. Have big-time moments? I think so. I think you're going to see special almost every week. Now, how often is that? Tough to say, but he's too talented to not show some of that. And that's kind of what Ryan Poles and Matty Eberflus spoke about last week. Like, hey, like, lean on your guys around you, but when it's time to go make it happen, make it happen. Like, they're leaning into his talent, but it's about finding that balance. Daryl says, if last season we didn't lose those 3 games, made the playoffs and won one, does Poles still draft Caleb or keep Fields and trade the number 1 pick? Week 1 blowout, 34-12. Defense gives up no touchdowns. Love it. If they made the playoffs and won a playoff game, I mean, what's the context? Was Fields a big reason why they won? Or did they just win a bunch of low-scoring, close games and Justin made just enough plays? Because if he kind of was just a game manager and they won, I still think he would have drafted Caleb because Fields' value probably would have been higher, right? Even if he didn't play a ton better than he did. Well, he led him to the playoffs and won a playoff game. You know, maybe you get like a 3rd-round pick for that. Then you draft Caleb and you look for the next level, right? But if Fields is balling out, throwing for 230, running for 80 every week, 2-3 touchdown games, you know, going toe-to-toe with stud quarterbacks in the playoffs, like, yeah, like maybe they keep him, but that didn't happen, and he couldn't even beat out Russell Wilson. So hopefully he gets a chance this year. I'm rooting for him, but that was then. This is now. Tyler, I've kind of grown into it. I like the Bears. I liked the Bears from afar growing up, but started covering them 5 years ago or so, and I've kind of become a diehard. But I think I offer a unique perspective because I'm not a lifelong Bears fan. I'm a fan now, but I think that helps me be as objective as I can as well. And hopefully you guys like our coverage and appreciate my analysis. Not everybody does, but hopefully a lot of you guys do. Harley, I look for 1 or 2 picks of Levis and get a defensive score. Yeah, I watched Will Levis play a handful of times last year. He will give you chances to take the ball away. And the Bears down the stretch last year took advantage of those opportunities. I mean, they led the league in interceptions with 22 with their defense. We saw it in the preseason. They were taking the ball away. So when Will Levis gives you a chance, you got to take it because there will be 2 or 3 throws in this game where you have a chance to take it away. You got to get 1 or 2. You got to get 1 or 2. So, yeah, Dennis, he could be a little reckless. Now he'll have a couple wild throws too. He's got good arm talent, but the Bears secondary is feisty. I expect them to get their hand on some footballs and hopefully get a takeaway or 2. Augustine says, this is my favorite Bears channel. I'll be honest. Appreciate that, Augustine. Appreciate that. A lot of good ones out there, man. I appreciate the competition on this platform, and I don't take it lightly. There's some good channels out there. CHGO boys do a good job. Hoge Jahns is a classic. They've been around. A Love my guy, DeWindy City Productions. He's definitely the best editor in the game. So a lot of people killing it, man. Dennis, barely over 50% last year. Yeah, he's a sub-60 guy. Levis is. So I'm sure the Titans are looking for more consistency there. Trey Talk says, Harrison, what we think about Justin Fields. What if this year Russ gets hurt, Fields goes out there and is still the same as he was as the Bears' worst? What do you think goes from there? I mean, I still think he's in the league and he's a backup somewhere, but his true chances of being a starter at that point would be kind of evaporated. He'd kind of have to settle into being a backup that occasionally gets on the field as a runner and has to wait for his next opportunity, like a Geno Smith, like a Baker Mayfield, like a Sam Darnold. That opportunity could come, but, I think there will be a time this year when he's starting and he's got to take advantage. If he doesn't, he's going to be a backup moving forward, like he is to start this year. I think he'll get a chance again at some point this year, but I think he's going to have to take advantage of the opportunity when it comes through. Appreciate that, ERT. Who's the worst team in the division? I think it's Minnesota. I'll have my NFC North predictions both here and on 4 Verts. I've been breaking down every NFL division on my NFL and college football YouTube channel. It's called 4 Verts. And it'll probably air on that channel first, then we'll put it on here. But if you want to go check out that channel, link is in the chat. Daily NFL and college football content beyond the Bears. This channel is my priority, but 4 Verts is something I'm putting a lot of time into. So go show some support. Dennis says, I think Russ is done. Last guy who loved him traded him. Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know what Pittsburgh's process is when it comes to team captains. I don't know if players vote or if it's a coach's decision, but I was surprised when Russ was named a team captain. I was surprised by that. Tyler says Taysom. Oh, he said, what are your thoughts if we would have kept Fields and used him as a Taysom Hill kind of guy? I thought it would have been fun. Obviously, still drafting Caleb. I just don't think Justin would have done it. I think he would have requested a trade if he was still on the roster when they drafted Caleb. And rightfully so. You don't need to create that dynamic. It's not good for Caleb. It's not good for Justin. It's not good for the locker room, for the guys who were vouching for Justin. You needed a clean break. And you needed one early so guys could process and then move on, which they have. Appreciate that, Josue. Appreciate that. Trey Talk, what's your highest score prediction for the Bears and your worst prediction for the Bears? For a game, my worst prediction? I think I'm going to do a final game-by-game record prediction video, but my highest score prediction, just looking at the schedule, let's see. What could be a high-scoring game? I think the games with Detroit could be high-scoring. The Bears have matched up well with them historically. And also, the Lions are loaded offensively. So I could see that game being in the high 20s and the 30s. But I think the Bears' defense is going to keep most teams in the low 20s or less. I really do. I think their defense is going to be feisty. Falls in the air. It sure is, Josue. What do you think about Anthony Richardson? I think he's the biggest wild card in the NFL. If you told me he was awesome and a top 10 QB, I could believe you. If you told me he would suck, I could believe you. He just hadn't played much. He's 6'5", 250 with the rocket arm, but I'm watching him throw pick sixes in the preseason. It's just what's going on here? He has accuracy issues. So Shane Steichen, who I really trust and like as an offensive coach, is going to have to cater to his skill set. And I like catching them early in week 3 because if he gets it rolling, it seems like that'll be in the later part of the year. So get him early, hopefully while he's still settling in, and hopefully you can win that game. Good night, Bear Down, baby. What's up, Josue? Appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in. Thanks to everybody else tuning in as well. Hard Knocks in the books. It was fun, man. Gave us some things to to watch here in the how lucky were we as Bears fans? 4 preseason games, one more than anyone else. Hard Knocks, a lot of content, man. A lot of content. Do we even know what Richardson's skill set is? I mean, he's 6'5". I think we know he's got arm strength and he can run. He's a good runner, Dennis. Beyond that, his accuracy is erratic. He's got a ton of talent, but that's kind of all it is right now. It's just talent. We got to see if it comes to fruition. Wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers game, Caleb struggles and the offense looks bad. The 49ers could possibly win it all. Let's be honest, I could see, but what if they upset it? Upset them, I think you mean. Yeah, I mean, on paper, that's probably your toughest game. At San Francisco in early December, late November it is. I think it's early December, first weekend in December. Yeah, man, that's going to be tough. Let's just be honest. Not many, Dennis. That's the thing. Yeah, he's a complete unknown, Anthony Richardson. Josh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I thought it was good. He's got more raw ability than Trubisky, Dennis. He's bigger, he's faster, he's got a stronger arm. If you ask me, I still looking back at it, I don't get the Trubisky hype. He was a 1-year starter. He was a plus athlete, but not elite. He had a good arm, but not elite. Like, what did these teams miss? Because I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I get Mahomes is raw, but this guy can throw the ball 80 yards. He can move. He can do all these different arm angles. Like, I'd rather have that guy than Trubisky. And obviously, things have not played out nicely for Deshaun Watson the last few years. But I remember thinking, okay, doesn't have a great arm, but he's a good athlete. He's a gamer. He's a winner. I'd rather have him than Trubisky. Multiple-year starter. The Mitch thing, I mean, what a bad pick by Pace. I mean, what the hell is he doing? Fillard says, how depressing of a show. Do you mean Hard Knocks or this show? I don't know if Hard Knocks was depressing, but it's tough to watch. Tough to watch a couple guys get cut. Carlos says, what do you think the floor and ceiling is of the Bears this year regarding record or whatever else? If the Bears are mostly healthy, I think the floor is last year, 7-10. Like, that would be a disappointment. But that's the floor, and I think the ceiling is 12. I think 7 to 12 wins is your range. And so can you be closer to 12 than 7? If you can, if you're 10 or more, you're a playoff team. If you're 9 or less, probably not. 9 and 8 might get you in, but I think that's the range. I guess, Harley, I think time has shown when the less reps, the biggest unknown, which is why Richardson's a complete unknown. He's a 1-year college starter. 1-year college starter. Caleb started 2.5 years. That's why a guy like Bo Nix, even with a limited skill set, might work. He's with Sean Payton, a great offensive mind. He started for 5 years in college. Good chance it's going to work. Tyler says 10-7 or 9-8. Tim, need double-digit wins. You get to 10, you're going to get in, I think. Oh, that's sick, Warm. Have fun. Yeah, Christian, we'll be live on Thursday. We'll also have videos tomorrow, so lock us in. We'll have our first injury report of the week tomorrow, so we'll have that covered. And I don't know what we'll do for our other episode. Maybe a record prediction episode. We'll go game by game. We did that when the schedule came out, but with the season almost here, maybe we'll do it again. Opinions on Packers offense. I'm not too worried about Jacobs. Yeah, he doesn't put fear into me. I don't know why. I know he was second in the NFL in rushing 2 years ago. Maybe I'm overreacting to him having a bad year last year. And maybe I'm just higher on Aaron Jones than I should be. But like when they cut Jones and signed Jacobs, I was like, feels like a downgrade to me. It's definitely a downgrade in the passing game. Like, even if Jacobs is good as a runner, he will not produce what Jones did as a pass catcher. He just won't. That's not his game. So, Jacobs might grind out some tougher yards than Aaron Jones, but he's not hitting 50-yard home runs nearly as often. So he doesn't terrify me. Who's going to be their pass catching back? Marshawn Lloyd, I guess. He ain't going to be as good as Aaron Jones. All right, I got about 5-6 minutes. I'll go until we get to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock Central, if you guys want. And so if you have any questions, fire away. Super chats if you want to donate. Keith says Bears 27, Titans 13. I said 27-17, so that's not far off. Dennis says 10-7 in a playoff victory. I put out my bold predictions. I have the Bears winning a playoff game. So I could see it. Keith says, I agree, Harrison. Jacobs doesn't scare me either. Yeah, and look, that doesn't mean he's not a good player. It doesn't mean he's not capable of winning a game. He's not that explosive. You know? I feel like Aaron Jones was part of the Packers' identity on offense. Like, is Josh Jacobs going to be a part of the Packers' identity offensively? Maybe. Maybe. All right. We're going to get out of here, actually. Almost an hour. Appreciate you guys rocking and rolling with us. I hope you're right, Devin. Let's break the curse. We'll be back tomorrow. A couple of videos. And then Thursday we'll be going live as well. Thank you guys so much for rocking and rolling with us here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down, FGB. Hit the subscribe button. Check out 4Verts. Link is in the live chat. My NFL and college football show. Trying to grow that puppy, so help us out. We will see you guys tomorrow. Bear down.